my thanks to everyone also for being with us today. So I will briefly introduce the survey and talk a little bit about the methodology and the sample to put the results of the survey into context for us. Then I'm just going to touch on the trends in overview, a quick summary, and then Nicola's going to go into detail into many of the trends that we've surveyed this year. And then I'm going to come back at the end and just touch upon topics which we believe will be of interest, particularly. So we've got changes in software investment, hardware usage, and sources of information. Next slide, please. So we're on to the background of this research, and we ask ourselves the question, why is this research useful to you? Over the years, we've assisted many of our clients to successfully plan for the future. And so our aim with this research is to assist you with future planning within the CAD space, as we believe that future planning is, of course, key for any business. This particular study was conducted using an online survey with responses from 557 CAD users and decision makers across a range of company sizes and globally, so across EMEA, the Americas, and APAC. The data for this sample has been drawn from many sources, including our own data repository with 1 million CAD/CAM users and decision makers. As excuse me, as Bill mentioned, this is the 6th wave of this study and focuses on manufacturing, obviously. The methodology and the core of the survey have been kept consistent across previous waves of the research to provide a basis for comparison. Next slide, please. The survey is really based around 4 key questions. First of all, awareness. Which of the following leading trends are you familiar with or have you heard of? Then perceived importance, so thinking about your core business functions, to what extent do you see each of these as an important trend to your company? And then usage, so we're asking about current usage, and then the 4th question about future usage. So we have looked at these topics for the 19 trends on this study. I would just comment that we've used CAD Trends, but CAD Trends over the whole survey, we really talk about different technologies, applications, services, and even licensing models. And some of the technologies are newer or emerging technologies, and in the questionnaire, we defined what we meant by a particular technology so that we had a common understanding in order to facilitate better responses. Next slide, please. So these are the 19 trends that we looked at and that are covered in this 2022 survey. We've made some changes, obviously, to the trends over time, and particularly for the manufacturing space, so that they are most relevant to you and your business. These changes in the trends that are covered was driven by the feedback from yourselves, essentially, the users and consumers of this report. So let me just cover quickly here. So you see at the bottom, we have looked at design automation, model-based definition, systems level management, and digital twins as new trends for this manufacturing report. Next slide, please. This is a truly global study, as you see, 557 responses, 30% from the Americas, it's 168 responses, 218 from EMEA, and 171 from APAC. Next slide, please. So just the breakdown of the sample. To get meaningful sample sizes that can be analyzed, we over-indexed or increased the weighting on the medium and large companies. So we looked at more medium and large companies than you would have in a census of all company types globally. And if we look at the small and medium size, we've got 82% of the sample in small and medium sized companies and 18% in the larger companies. In terms of sector, as you can see, industrial machinery is the leading sector with 25% of responses coming from that sector. And automotive in second place with 23%. However, if we add automotive and transportation manufacturing, we have 32% or nearly 1 in 3 of respondents in transportation and automotive. The job titles and roles, it's a wide range of different titles. There's a long tail of different roles. But just quickly to look at it, about 1 in 3 of the respondents is an engineer or designer, and about half the respondents are technical engineering, design, project management. Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned, I'm going to give you a quick snapshot of some of the key trends, and the results here are shown just at an overall level, and as I've mentioned, Nicola will go into detail on many of the individual trends. Next slide, please. So we start by looking at the overall awareness of the 19 trends and stacking these alongside current usage to be able to understand the level of adoption or the correlation between awareness and usage. The dark blue column shows awareness. Which of the following are you familiar with? The light blue bar shows current usage. Which does your company already use in-house at the moment? The light blue line shows adoption. Adoption is defined as usage as a proportion of those aware of a particular trend or technology. This enables us to see where awareness does and does not lead to current usage. The dotted line, slightly to the right of the center of the screen, shows the average adoption. Therefore, those trends on the left of this line typically show that awareness is leading to usage. And the opposite of true is true, of course, on those on the right-hand side. If we just take a quick example, if we look at the far right of the screen, we can see there that about a third of our sample was aware of virtual reality, but currently only 10% are using it in the workplace. Next slide, please. This somewhat busy slide talks about importance. So we've looked at awareness, we've looked at usage very briefly. We now want to understand the level of perceived importance of each of these trends to a business. Our respondents were asked to rate each of these trends in terms of their current importance to their business on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is not important at all and 10 is extremely important. The average or mean scores were used to construct this pyramid, showing rank order of importance to the business. Trends with the highest scores are showing at the top of the pyramid, indicating a higher importance level to the business. And these trends, are ranked in descending order of importance from top to bottom. Overall, as we can see from the chart, 3D modeling, digital twins, cloud-based CAD, collaborative design, and PDM are some of the most important technologies or trends to businesses at the present time. Some CAD trends are much more important to particular industries or geographies or sectors or people, different levels within organizations. And so as you look to the right, there is a very brief summary of some of those differences for each of the trends. Next slide, please. We next look at changes in importance over time. The dark blue bar represents the 2019 survey. The lighter blue bar represents data from this year's survey. So what's interesting, and just take a couple of quick examples. So if we look on the top set of trends and the third one in from the left on cloud-based CAD, we can see that in 3 years, the importance to businesses has grown from 3.85 to 7.82. So essentially doubling in importance over that 3-year period. Also interesting is the importance to businesses of artificial intelligence has grown by 3.6 points over the last 3 years, and of machine learning by 3.3 points. So the newer technologies are gaining traction and increasing in importance as a tool for businesses today. Next slide, please. This matrix shows the correlation between current usage and the importance ranking of key trends. And as you can see, we've split this matrix into 4 quadrants. The top right quadrant shows high usage and high importance, and we're calling this quadrant leading trends. As we look at, there are only 3 trends, as you can see, and for years, 2D drafting and 3D modeling have been of high importance and obviously high usage. But interestingly, this year, we see that cloud-based CAD has become a member of the leading quadrant. The bottom right quadrant shows low usage and high importance. And we've called these upcoming trends, but we do appreciate that CAM, PDM, PLM would not normally be considered upcoming, but a number of the other technologies would be. And so we've put them all together in that quadrant. The top left quadrant shows high usage and low importance or emerging trends. And the only one that is in that quadrant at the present time is 3D printing. And then on the bottom left, low usage, low importance, niche trends. And you can see that we have some newer technologies in that space at the moment. So it's interesting, though, that as we go through the survey, you'll see that some of these niche trends, if you will, actually have extremely high growth potential in the future. Next slide, please. So just to complete the overview, the introduction, finally, I'm going to take a brief look at a summary of current and forecast usage. Next slide, please. On this chart, we have plotted the current usage of each of the CAD trends as a baseline, the anticipated additional usage in the next 12 months, and finally, the anticipated additional usage in the next 3 to 5 years. The bigger the gap between the baseline and the predictive usage lines, the bigger the opportunity for growth as perceived by the businesses around the world. There are 5 trends which particularly stand out to us because of their growth potential. And these are boxed on the slide for us. So mobile access to CAD, and looking at artificial intelligence, virtual reality and augmented reality, and finally digital twins. Next slide, please. So just plotting future growth and the percentage increase over the current base, it's being shown on this slide now. So it shows us the potential growth for each of the 19 trends in the next 3 to 5 years, with the current year used as the base year. The scores are calculated as the percentage claimed uplift in the next 3 to 5 years in relation to the current year. And here we are using the current year as the base. So as you can see, augmented reality, virtual reality, digital twins, artificial intelligence, and machine learning are showing the biggest forecast growth. I know that was a very quick overview, but hopefully that gives you a flavor of what we're going to now discuss. And I'd like to hand over to Nicola. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris. The first trend we're going to look at in more detail is augmented reality. And we're going to go through each trend in order of growth potential. So this is the first trend, augmented reality, which has the highest growth potential at the moment. And as Chris mentioned, we did provide a definition for each of the trends as part of the survey. And we defined augmented reality as the use of non-geometrical data to augment a CAD model view with the direct or indirect physical real-world environment. Just to explain the layout of the slide, which will have the similar format for each trend. Awareness is shown on the darker blue chart on the left-hand side. Current usage in 12 months, and planned usage in 3 to 5 years is shown in the paler blue charts on the right-hand side. The text below will call out differences by geography, by company size, by industry sector, or job role. So as I said, augmented reality has the highest growth potential, but it has the lowest ranking in terms of importance. The relative importance of this trend has increased over time from 4.0, and it's now up to 6.92, the mean score. Current usage of augmented reality is low at 8%, but in the next 3 to 5 years, this is expected to grow to around 30%. Currently, we're seeing usage amongst the consumer products industry in particular, and we'd anticipate that augmented reality in the next 3 to 5 years will be more widely used amongst the larger companies. Moving to the next slide, we asked what benefits respondents currently get or plan to get as a result of using augmented reality. And the perception is that augmented reality will facilitate better or faster design creation, provide better communication or collaboration, and real-time visualization. In the APAC region, significantly more respondents mentioned the benefit of increased safety. And within the consumer products industry in particular, there were higher levels of mentions of the benefit of augmented reality, helping with things like education and training. Our next trend is virtual reality. Again, we did define virtual reality as a computer-generated experience taking place within a simulated environment. Virtual reality is demonstrating high growth potential, but again has lowest, well, in fact, the lowest importance ranking of all the trends. Current usage is about 10%, but over the next 3 to 5 years, we'd anticipate planned usage to increase to 36%. Awareness of virtual reality is highest in the US region, and also importance is rated higher in this region when compared to EMEA. Within the transportation industry, that sector rates virtual reality as having higher importance than any other of the industries. And over the next 3 to 5 years, planned usage of virtual reality is anticipated to be higher in the industrial machinery sector. And we asked about the benefits of virtual reality, and almost 3/4 of respondents mentioned the opportunity for better or faster design creation, that's 72%. Within the consumer products industry, respondents could see benefits in the use of virtual reality for help with things like marketing and sales. The next trend we're looking at is digital twins. This, again, is a new area that we've included this year. And again, we define digital twins as a virtual representation that serves as the real-time digital counterpart of a physical object or process. In terms of importance, this is ranked second overall with a mean score of 7.85. Digital twins is rated more highly in terms of importance in the Americas region, and companies manufacturing in the transportation and the consumer products industry naturally have rated digital twins as having high importance. And they're clearly seeing the benefits of being able to understand how a product is performing now and predicting how it will perform in the future or in different environments. Awareness is currently low at 14%. And although this is based on a small sample, awareness is somewhat lower in the APAC region. Digital twins offers high growth opportunity, and while current usage is low at 6%, it's expected to grow to around 18% in the next 3 to 5 years. Again, we asked about how respondents are using or how they plan to use digital twins, and the majority, 73%, mentioned that it would help speed up processes. Companies are seeing the benefits of digital twins, bringing together product design, manufacturing and service to maximize their software investment, also reducing downtime, improving quality and reducing inventory costs. And this fits in with some of the other areas mentioned in our research, such as predictive maintenance at 59% and automated failure alerts at 56%. This really goes beyond time-scheduled maintenance of assets to predicting the likelihood of future failures and reduce an asset or product failure, and of course the associated costs with that. In terms of the perceived benefits of digital twins, the majority of respondents were aware of this trend. It's about 70%, mentioned an improvement in productivity. Improving demand forecasting and scheduling was also mentioned by 56% of respondents, and failure prevention at 53%. Very important, particularly to asset-rich manufacturing companies and those with assets and machinery spread across multiple locations. Next, we're looking at artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence has slightly higher current usage at 14%, but over the next 3 to 5 years, this is anticipated to increase to 38%. With the importance rated for this trend being higher in the Americas region, current usage of artificial intelligence is highest in the consumer product sector and amongst large companies. Again, we asked about the benefits of artificial intelligence, and the perceived benefits are primarily around the improvement of productivity. However, in the APAC region, there's a higher mention of improved demand forecasting and scheduling. Amongst respondents in the Americas region, the opportunity to reduce staff as a result of the use of artificial intelligence was mentioned more frequently. Moving on to machine learning. Again, we defined machine learning as an application of artificial intelligence that provides the ability for systems to automatically learn and improve from experience without being explicitly programmed. The importance rating of machine learning has increased over time from 3.8 to 7.11. And whilst current usage is still relatively low at 13%, awareness is growing. It's growing particularly in the Americas region, and usage over the next 3 to 5 years is expected to increase to about 33%. So there's a lot of opportunity there. There's lower awareness amongst respondents from the APAC region. So there's work to be done promoting the benefits of machine learning in this region. When we asked about the benefits of machine learning, respondents mentioned it would lead to an increase in production capacity and improved preventative maintenance, which was particularly relevant to those in an IT role. Reduction of material consumption, which I think is 49%, was mentioned more frequently in the Americas region and within the consumer products industry. Optimizing supply chains has become increasingly important in the last couple of years due to recent events, and about a quarter of respondents see machine learning helping in this area. Next, we're moving to systems level management, or SLM. This is the first year that we asked about systems level management, or SLM, and this was defined as storing or retaining the assumptions and reasoning used to develop a model. About 21% of respondents were aware of this trend, and awareness was generally higher amongst large companies. Usage is currently relatively low, it's at 11%, but planned usage is expected to increase to around 25% over the next 3 to 5 years. The importance of SLM was rated more highly amongst the industrial machinery industry at about 8.1, compared to a mean score of 7.7 across all other respondents. Main benefits associated with systems level management are the ability to retain the assumptions used to develop the model. That's about 67%. And the opportunity to store the information in one place, providing a single source of truth. That's 60%. This was across all industry sectors, regions, and company sizes. We're hearing across many projects that staff churn is an issue. And here we see that about a third of respondents, 31%, think SLM could help in this area. Now let's move to mobile access to CAD. Now, over time, the importance rating of mobile access to CAD has increased from 5.4 to 7.47. Current usage is around 15%, but over the next 3 to 5 years, this is anticipated to grow to 33%. The importance is rated much higher in France and in Germany, in EMEA, but it's lower in the APAC region, and also amongst medium-sized companies. Current usage is higher in the US, and over the next few years, it's the Americas where we'd expect to see growth, and particularly amongst small companies. We asked if respondents were users or authors of CAD files, and whether mobile access is used to collaborate between the field and the office or the factory floor. And the majority, 88%, turn out to be users of CAD files while using mobile access, and are using it to collaborate between different locations. 71% of users, or those that plan to use mobile access to CAD, anticipate using a PC, slightly smaller percentage, 69%, and using a workstation. The next trend we'll look at is product lifecycle management, or PLM. The current usage of PLM amongst our sample was really lower than we would typically expect. This year it was 17%. Our results show that over the next 3 to 5 years, this will rise to 26%. So there's a real opportunity in this space. Current usage is higher in the EMEA region, and importance of PLM is rated most highly in the Americas region and amongst the consumer products industry sector. The benefits or productivity changes mentioned by those using or planning to use PLM include improvements in design, savings on costs, design time, and a faster response to market. User-friendliness of PLM and the length of the learning curve is something that's come up in many projects around PLM, and it does seem that there's still a need to improve user-friendliness, with only 19% considering PLM to be extremely user-friendly. Moving on to model-based definition, or MBD. Usage of model-based definition was a new area that we asked about this year, and we defined this as product and manufacturing information placed directly onto 3D model geometry. This currently has the lowest current usage and offers medium future growth potential, with a rise from 8% to 16% in the next 3 to 5 years. It's in the Americas region and the industrial machinery sector that rate the importance of MBD more highly. It's their score is 8.25 compared to an overall average of 7.67. When asked about the benefits of MBD, it's improved efficiency, cost reduction, and the creation of higher quality products that are seen as the main benefits of using model-based definition in the future. And a fifth mentioned that one benefit was the fact that 2D drawings are not needed to be generated. Now we'll look at simulation, or computer engineering, CAE. We defined simulation, or CAE, as the prediction of real-world behavior or performance of a design, usually with simulation or CAE software. Awareness of simulation tools is statistically significantly higher in the US when compared to the APAC region. And usage of simulation or CAE amongst our sample is currently 13%. And over the next 3 to 5 years, it's expected to reach around 25%. Usage of simulation or CAE is currently higher amongst larger companies, but over the next 12 months, interestingly, it's smaller companies that plan to use simulation and CAE tools. When asked how the organisation uses or plans to use simulation, the majority of our respondents, about 71%, mentioned that they use it to optimise designs. 63% are using mechanical simulation, and just over half, 57%, are using simulation tools to predict product performance. The creation of finite element models and meshing was mentioned by 45% of respondents. However, amongst the industrial machinery sector, this is being used significantly more. When asked if companies are using simulation and CAE tools within a CAD solution or as a standalone solution, we can see that half of the companies are using a combination of both. This is more prevalent in the APAC region, where 65% of respondents mentioned using both integrated and standalone solutions. Next, we'll move to product data management, or PDM. And the importance associated with PDM over time has consistently remained high at about 7.78. It's got medium usage amongst our sample, about 15%. And again, this is somewhat lower than we typically expect for PDM. Growth is planned to increase to 50% over the next 3 to 5 years. And planned usage over the next 12 months is anticipated in the Americas region and amongst large companies. Not unexpectedly, data and collaboration are the primary reasons for using PDM. And it's the automotive sector that uses PDM for collaboration significantly more than other industries. Large companies use PDM significantly more for a place to store and organize their data. Moving on to another new trend, design automation. We defined design automation as the use of tools to improve productivity, such as configurators, custom scripts, or other tools that might be used to reduce the time taken to complete a design. Usage is already relatively high, 18%. This is expected to grow to around 33% in the next 3 to 5 years. The importance of this trend is highest amongst the transportation sector and also amongst medium-sized companies. Planned usage is expected in the next 12 months in the EMEA region. When we asked what companies are doing to eliminate or automate common tasks to improve productivity, it's really the custom scripts and configurators that are currently being used. Over the next 3 to 5 years, 17% of respondents anticipate using other tools to speed up their design. Now we'll look at 3D printing. Awareness of 3D printing is now high, and the importance rating has increased from 5.4 over time to 7.32. Chris mentioned that earlier. Current usage in our sample is 33%, with future growth reaching 60% in 3 to 5 years. Usage of 3D printing is statistically significantly higher in APAC, particularly in Japan, where the trend has really been embraced. Planned usage is anticipated in the Americas amongst larger companies and also amongst the consumer products industry sector. In terms of usage and benefits, prototyping is still the most common usage of 3D printers, 74%, but usage in the production process or as additive manufacturing has increased to 57%. Respondents see benefits of 3D printing in terms of improvements in designs and saving on design time. Moving on to computer-aided manufacturing, or CAM. The importance of computer-aided manufacturing, or CAM, remains high, with a rating of 7.6 out of 10. The perceived importance of CAM is highest amongst the transportation sector and in medium-sized companies. We see medium current usage at 17%, rising to 30% in 3 to 5 years. CAM usage seems to be higher in the APAC region, and not surprisingly amongst the industrial machinery sector. We asked about any changes in usage of CAM over the past 12 months. The majority, 69%, mentioned some form of increase. 21% in the middle there reported no change. And when asked about the importance of CAM, machine instructions that are automatically generated from 3D CAD models, the majority, 91%, felt it was very or quite important. So 42% very important, 49% quite important. Over half of the respondents, about 54%, considered that there should be a little more effort to improve CAD to CAM integration, and 15% feel that there should be much more effort. So this is clearly an area where vendors need to address. The majority, 60%, plan to use additive manufacturing in conjunction with CAM in the next 1 to 3 years. And as we mentioned earlier, the usage of 3D printing has increased, with 63% of respondents reporting increased usage in the past 12 months. However, only 14% of our sample of CAM users are actually planning to completely replace CAM with additive manufacturing. Next, we're looking at generative design in a little more detail. Again, we define generative design as the use of software to generate optimum forms for products based on design parameters. Although usage is currently low at 12%, in 3 to 5 years, 21% are expected to make use of generative design solutions. In the next 12 months, it's the larger companies that are likely to adopt generative design. Overall, optimizing performance criteria of the design is seen as the key benefit of generative design. Minimizing waste and reducing material cost as recognized by consumer products and other manufacturing sectors. Optimizing performance criteria of the design is particularly relevant to medium and large companies. And those in a CAD manager role see the main benefit of generative design as reducing the number of physical prototypes required. Now look at cloud-based CAD in a little more detail. The importance rating attached to cloud-based CAD has increased over recent years from 3.9 to 7.82. And this trend is now ranked second in terms of importance overall, which may well be associated with the need to work remotely over the last 2 years. If we look back at the 2019 CAD Trends report, usage was about 12% in the manufacturing sector. And then we anticipated that it would grow to 29% within 3 to 5 years. So it's looking fairly close at 27%. Importance of cloud-based CAD is rated most highly amongst medium-sized companies. Awareness is the highest in the APAC region, but for some reason lower in the EMEA region and particularly in the UK. Usage of cloud-based CAD is higher in Japan and India, and also across the consumer products industry. Planned usage is significantly higher over the next 12 months, specifically in Australia. Over half of the respondents are cloud-based CAD, use cloud-based CAD for storage and backup of files and design using CAD hosted in the cloud. Almost half use cloud-based CAD for review of design files and for the exchange and collaboration of CAD files. 44% are now using cloud-based CAD as their primary CAD program. The perceived benefits of cloud-based CAD are mentioned as increased storage capacity, ease of software updates, and better scalability. And we've seen a gradual shift over recent years in relation to security. Historically, this has been a real concern to many CAD users in terms of cloud-based CAD. In recent research projects, we've seen that companies are now feeling that security of data is improved with the use of cloud-based CAD. And in this research, we can see that 49% now think that one of the benefits of cloud-based CAD is control over security. Just moving on to the final couple of trends, we won't go into detail on these two, but 3D modeling is now ranked as #1 in terms of importance to businesses in the manufacturing sector. It's rated most highly in the Americas region, amongst the transportation industry and amongst large companies. Businesses are now searching for and downloading ready-made 3D models on a regular basis each month. And the use of symbol libraries, customer scripts and configurators is becoming much more widespread. Just touching on 2D design, it continues to be important and it's ranked 3rd overall in terms of importance. And we asked how usage of 2D drawings has changed over the past year. And although 18% of respondents mentioned that they had decreased their usage of 2D, 54% felt that they had actually increased their usage. 68% of current users, or those planning to use, are generating 2D drawings from 3D models. And half think that being able to automatically generate 2D drawings from 3D models is important. Over half are quite satisfied with these automated drawings. So I'll now hand back to Chris to continue with the final few slides.
Thank you very much, Nicola. So to conclude, we're going to briefly look at 4 topics. We're going to look at software investment, challenges for our businesses that we surveyed in terms of investing in technology, looking very briefly at hardware usage, and then some marketing sources of information. Next slide, please. So again, quite a busy slide, and I'm just going to touch on the left-hand side of the slide. So we found this very interesting. So over half, 59%, have made a change to their CAD software in the last 12 months. 24% of respondents have upgraded their primary CAD software. 19% added an application to the primary CAD software in use. And 16% of our survey changed their primary CAD software over the last 12 months. This surprised us that it was as high as that. And I think Nicola kind of hinted at it, that with the change in working from home, for example, and hybrid working, people have probably had to reevaluate their tools and whether they were truly fit for purpose. And so they looked at new solutions. Next slide, please. This again was interesting. We asked people what was preventing them from adopting new technology. And the first one there, as you see, is insufficient in-house technical expertise, 26%. And so just think about that for a moment. A quarter of people that said that they were prevented, if you will, from investing in new technology, felt that they had this insufficient in-house technical expertise. So there's a really strong opportunity there for integration skills, some consulting and general technical support from vendors to enable these people to adopt the technology they would like to use. And the data security concerns of 22%, again, as Nicola mentioned just recently, we've seen quite an easing in these concerns over the last, well, 2-3 years from cloud-based CAD. So there are opportunities there, again, if users can be reassured about the security of their data. Next slide, please. So this, just a real quick snapshot on the usage of hardware. No great surprises here at all. Over the last few years, we've seen a reduction in usage of desktop PCs, desktop workstations, and to a lesser extent, laptops, while an increase in virtual CAD workstations. Not a huge increase of virtual CAD workstations, but nonetheless an increase. Next slide, please. This is, again, quite a busy slide, but we asked people, which sources of information do you use to keep up to date with regards to the latest developments in the CAD industry? And I'm just really going to pick on one particular topic here. So we see in our clients a lot of research, a lot of discussion, activity, and investment in social media. But of our survey, only 13%, if you look along the different sources of information, about 2/3 of the way along, you'll see any social media, 13%. So only 13% of sample are actually using social media to keep up to date, which I thought was interesting, and we thought we'd share that with you just briefly. I would just comment that there is much more data. What we've presented today is really just a snapshot. There's more information on different trends. We've got a breakdown or a greater breakdown of the data by size of company, by industry, by decision makers available. So please enjoy the webinar, the recording and the slides. And if you need custom analysis, please let us know, and we can look at doing some of that for you. Thank you very much, and I'll hand back to Bill.
Thank you, Chris. We're about to open up for Q&A right now in the last, well, 9 minutes. And if you haven't already, please do feel free to enter your questions into the Q&A window. We have had a number of questions come in. we always get nervous before these things that people aren't going to ask questions or we're not going to have anything, and then all these questions come in. So thank you all for asking your questions. And I want to thank some people did send some in ahead of time as well, which we appreciate. Just a reminder that before you sign off today, there should be a survey that pops up. It's really quick and short. Please just give us a tiny bit of feedback to help us do better and let us know what you thought of today. Thank you, thank you. And now on to questions and answers. And some of these we answered kind of publicly online and others not, but let's see, what's the first one here? There was just a question about why we hadn't included the aerospace industry, and I guess we didn't present on it as having respondents, but we did indeed have responses from the aerospace industry. About 3%, about I think it was 19 or 20 people from the aerospace industry did respond. So there is, while it's not a large number, we did have some aerospace responses. Sorry, we didn't show that in the breakout of the industries covered. Let's see. And I'm just answering these first two myself, and you probably saw this, but someone asked that the definitions are not showing up of each of the technology trend areas on the actual slides. And the question, are we going to include those in the slide deck? And admittedly, we had not, but I think that's a really good and wise idea, especially with some of the new trends. So we will look at a way to do that, and we'll find a way to include the definitions on the slide deck. And I agree that will bring more value to this prior to our sharing it in the next day or two. So thank you for that. Nicola, perhaps a question for you that came up with how were respondents to this survey selected? Would you be able to share on that, Nicola?
Well, it was a web survey. So, I mean, we didn't, it was a random sample. We didn't specifically select participants, but we sent it out to a large volume of potential respondents. Obviously, they randomly answered or not. Is that your question, Bill?
Yes, perfect. And they did, and so yes, in terms of the data, Nick was right. We reached out literally globally all around the world to many people, and accepted the responses that came back. They did have to be using one of the relevant technologies, and they did have to be in one of the kind of agreed manufacturing sectors. If they didn't meet those two minimum criteria, they were automatically excluded from participating in the survey. Yes, so thank you. Questions just came in, and I had this a few times before the webinar. When is our AEC, Architecture, Engineering, Construction Industry Survey coming out? We don't have a timeline for it yet. We are working on plans to make that happen, but there was just such interest in manufacturing. We did do this one first. So I'm hoping to be able to let you know a timeline for later this year. We are intending to do it this year on AEC. Just one just came in. Could you please repeat the geographical locations of the survey? Nicola, do you want to just touch on it? Or Chris, do you want to touch on just the geos that we covered for the survey?
Yes, the data was taken from all three main regions. We had 30% of the data come from the Americas, that's 168 responses, 39% from EMEA, 218 responses, and then 31% from APAC, 171 responses. Hopefully that does it. The breakdown in the slide deck, there is that information for you.
Chris, while you're talking on that, maybe you could answer, it's kind of a general question, but if anybody does want more specific detail, say on a specific trend, such as simulation, CAE, and wanted to know if there's any even country-specific data for that, do we have the ability to do that kind of look and analysis?
Yes, thanks, Bill. So yeah, on previous surveys, we've done a number of kind of mini projects, if you will, for clients, where we have analyzed the data in different ways, or we've looked at for correlations between different data points that perhaps one wouldn't normally think of looking at. So yes, we can do further analysis of the data. I mean, just one caveat that if you're looking at country level data, some of the larger markets have a good sample size, but some of the smaller ones really do not. And the best that we could say there is that in results from smaller sample sizes will be indicative, but we really couldn't give any statistical reliability to analyzing a smaller sample size.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris. Question just popped up. I'm not sure we'll be able to answer this, but Chris or Nicola, if you want to take this, how likely is it that cloud-based CAD solutions or software will be the primary candidate, the primarily used software in the near future? I know any thoughts? I don't remember our what the stats are for the 3 to 5 year expectation, but yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Well, I think we need to look at that in more detail. I mean, just my opinion is I think cloud-based CAD has been growing in importance and usage, and it's predicted to continue to grow in usage. But there will always be people who what they have is just doing fine for them. They don't see a need to change because what they have actually does the job that they need it to do very well. So if the intent of the question there is cloud-based CAD going to sort of totally dominate, I would say no. But it's important, and it's growing in importance and usage.
Perfect, thank you. And we can continue just another minute with Q&A, but Nicola, maybe you could put up our final slide with our contact details. And the reason for that is that a question just came in about, just got this link from a friend and connected today, and how do we reach you guys if we have any questions or want to make sure we get access to the recording. So as a reminder, everyone who did register through the system will get, we will be sending out a link to view the recording. It's going to just take us a couple of days to edit, and you will get a link to download the full report. But feel free to email any of us if you want to lead with me, Bill Gordon. My email's on the screen there, bill.gordon@business-advantage.com. Feel free to email me, and I'll make sure that you do get that link. Let's see. I think with that, why don't we're just about top of the hour. There were a couple more questions, but I think we got to the ones that are of general interest and relevance to everyone. If we missed anything, my apologies, but we will follow up personally after. Thank you for the thank yous, and really nice to have you all here together today. Please take a moment to fill out that survey at the end. The full report, by the way, we just didn't have time to go into everything. It does talk about, for example, some of the brands being used by the respondents for like 3D printing and CAM software, not for each of the not for all of, but for a few of the trends. So do look out for the full report. I think you'll find it interesting, and it'll probably bring up some additional questions and commentary that you may want to ask us about. So thank you so much for being here today. And with that, we're going to close and wrap up, but really appreciate your time, and thank you. Have a wonderful day.